Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and today we should be getting the reveal of the next set of new heroes to be introduced into the game early next week. Now, I was actually expecting this trailer to hit tomorrow. It feels a little bit earlier, but I've given up on guessing exactly when these trailers are going to drop. I miss the days when they pretty much always dropped at the exact same time. They kind of do, but they also kind of don't at times. I don't know. I felt like this one was a little early, but regardless, that's fine. Looks like we're getting this trailer. I don't know who it could be. Your guess is as good as mine. I am going to be looking away. After the splash, I'll look back up just to see who is going to be revealed. I already see that the new hero trailer title is Heroes Light and Shadow. Quite frankly, that could be anything. Light and Shadow could refer to Nor and Hoshido. It could refer to heroic and fallen versions of characters. It really could be anything. Alright, I'm looking away right now, and I will look back up after the splash. Now. Unknown hero. Oh, this is, right, the guy who looks exactly like Marth. It's Kris. Okay. Alright. Blade of Shadow, Noontime, HP Speed 2. Spurn 3, interesting. Is that going to be another cool infantry toy that nobody else can play with? I'll see you gone. Looks like he's going to be a sword infantry unit. Tender Thief. This is going to be Julian. Infantry Dagger unit. Caltrop Dagger Plus. Okay. Moonbow, Close Foil. Lull attack speed 3.
I won't go easy on you.
Alright. Tender Angel.
I am a cleric. I cannot bear to watch others come to.
Okay, so it's Lena, who is also an infantry cleric. Gravity Plus, Recover Plus, Heavenly Light. That looks like a 4-star D mode if I've ever seen one. But she looks super cute. I like her art. And let's see who's gonna pick up the remainder. Unsung hero.
I am Kris.
And this is going to be Kris.
Well met.
Another infantry lancer. Okay, so it's a fully infantry based banner. Spear of Shadow, Fury Force. Okay, so Spurn 3 as well.
Dare not underestimate me.
Cool. All right. So new story chapter, Violent Fantasies. Going to be an actual next chapter in the Fire Emblem Heroes story. Let's pause here really quickly. So that's interesting. It looks like there are these mirages. So are we going to first, I guess, encounter the big bad in Book 4? And is she going to like create multiple versions of herself on the map? Is that kind of her gimmick? I don't know, but it doesn't look like there's another free unit, at least as far as I can tell, just looking at this map itself. Okay. So, new heroes are here. We'll take a pause. Starting, obviously, on the 20th. Doesn't have an end date. Lena, Tender Angel, is going to be available as a 4-star focus unit. This is a new hero banner, which means it is going to be eligible for the 40 summon sparking mileage system that guarantees you a pick of one of these if you decide to go in for 40 summons, I'm sure. And then let's just keep going to see if there's any other just random reveals at the end here. Oh, okay, it's just gonna... Alright, so that's confirming what we already know. Surprisingly enough, no green units on here. We have 2 colorless, and one of the colorless being a 4-star hero. So colorless will grant you a pretty darn high chance of getting a focus unit on this banner. It does seem as though the prized units are going to be Kris or Kris. I don't think it's going to be either of the colorless units, really, other than, of course, them being, you know, them having their own fans. At least up front, it didn't look like skill-wise the colorless had a ton to offer. It looks like the prizes, quote-unquote, of the banner are probably going to be Kris or Kris. But we'll have to go back, see, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to rewind, take another look at the trailer, the character art, and the skills to see if this is a banner that I think, in my opinion, is worth summoning for. So let's take a look. I was wondering if they were going to add Kris into the game. At some point, I guess it's a natural... So Kris is here from New Mystery of the Emblem, and the art looks pretty great. I think they did a good job on his outfit. He does, I mean, look like Marth, obviously. His own sword that is pretty huge, resembles more of a giant two-handed broadsword or a buster sword, something to that effect, strapped onto his back. Pretty classic adventurer design, I have to say, with the gloves and the coat And then the flowing flaps and the straps and everything else, the boots. Yep, nice little ensemble for a traveler. So let's keep going. Did a great job on that art, I think. Blade of Shadow. So it's a 16 might weapon, accelerates special trigger, so it has a killer/slaying effect if foe initiates combat, or if foe's HP is 100% at the start of combat. Neutralizes penalties on unit and inflicts attack speed defense -5 on foe during combat. So killer/slaying effect, always a solid thing. If foe initiates combat, so he's going to be more enemy phase based by the looks of it. If he enemy phases, he will always have the condition met for his weapon. And on player or enemy phase, if the enemy's HP is at 100% at the start of combat, basically all penalties on the unit are removed. So that would, penalties being not only debuffs in terms of like panic and things like that, but also actual penalties to the stats that Kris has, and inflicts in-combat debuffs to attack speed and defense -5 on foe during combat. So that's solid, nothing to really write home about, but it definitely is an effective, efficient combination. It will get the job done. The special killer/slaying effect is always good, gives him a better ability to proc his special. And then very, very easy condition to meet as far as enemy phasing. If he's an enemy phase unit, he's pretty much never going to have to worry about meeting his condition. The foe's HP is at 100%. I'm never a fan of that condition, but it's just tacked on to the foe initiates combat effect. So basically, if he's enemy phasing, he's always going to give -5 to those stats, which is, it's solid. It's solid. Noontime for the special, HP speed 2 for the A slot. I'm laughing a little at HP speed 2. HP speed 2 or skills like HP combined with other stats 2 have their place. They definitely do. Certain units will be able to effectively utilize them, especially ones that have certain skills that have an HP threshold condition. They may enjoy having that HP boost in the A slot in addition to another stat. I feel like oftentimes it's more of an all or nothing thing. Like you want to put basically everything into HP in the A slot that you possibly can, if you're going to go that route or not. It just creates more options for that archetype of character, which is good. Like characters like Aversa, or if you have dancers, for example, that want to combat, like Bridal Fjorm, for example, that you want additional HP to top out, then this is a potential option as well. Now this is where it gets interesting. So Spurn 3, it looks like a green Wrath for the B slot. If unit speed is greater than foe speed, reduces damage from attacks during combat and area of effect specials, excluding Rock Right, by percentage equal difference between stats times 4, max 40%. Okay, so we know that condition. That's been a condition that we've seen a lot of the infantry-based B-slot skills that have come out. It's a great effect for these speedy infantry units to be able to mitigate damage. It's very, very strong. 40% is no joke as far as damage reduction is concerned, and with these speedy units, it's generally speaking relatively easy to take advantage of that effect. If unit's HP is less than or equal to 75% and unit's attack trigger special, deals +5 damage when special triggers. Alright, that is pretty solid. It's essentially a mini Wrath effect, +5 true damage tacked onto the sort of repel effect that we've seen recently, or these B-slot infantry damage mitigation skills that we've seen recently. So this is going to be like a running theme, I guess, going forward, is that they're going to keep adding these B-slots for infantry units that reduce damage on the B-slot and also just have some additional effect, which I think is pretty powerful. I'm just kind of thinking about it. I don't know if the +5 is really enough. I feel like +10 would have been fine, or maybe even +7. I don't know. +5 seems on the low side. It feels like they're trying to differentiate it from Wrath, which will give the +10 bonus. But Wrath also gives the cooldown reduction at the beginning of every turn. So it has also additional built-in utilities separate from that. I don't know. It still seems solid. I think within the framework of the kit that he has, the intent is that Noontime doesn't do damage. Spurn will allow him to get an additional 5 damage, essentially, which again isn't a ton, but it'll let him do more damage, and then heal more based upon that as well with his Noontime. Joint Drive Attack for the C slot grants attack +4 to allies within 2 spaces during combat. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack +4 to unit during combat. So recapping Kris's kit, it feels a little disjointed. Like, I'm not in love with what they gave him as a whole. It feels... So Spurn 3, I think, has interesting applications. I think it definitely has some uses. I think specifically for infantry units that will rely on damaging specials for damage in general, like just to maximize the amount of special damage you end up doing, and damage mitigation, or having a combination of sustain with healing, with, you know, additional special procs to heal up back to full health, you know, something like that for stalling purposes. So things like that, I can see Spurn 3 having a use for sure. I feel like it could probably have more than the +5 damage of true damage, but, you know, they obviously did that for balancing reasons, and there might be a reason behind that I'm just not thinking about. Blade of Shadow, I think it's solid. I think it gets the job done, but I also am not, I'm not wowed by it. So I think Kris is fine, but the problem is that he's an infantry sword unit, and in a game where there are a million infantry sword units, and not only that, they recently came out with infantry sword units that are very, very solid. So he's going to be in the new hero batch rather than a seasonal batch, so he's going to be in the regular pool. So there's that going for him. But otherwise, he has some very, very stiff competition out there for a merge project or a infantry sword project for people. So I don't know. I'm not so sure about Kris here. There he goes. Very cool art, though, and very cool sword. He does look very nice. All right. Next up, we have the Tender Thief.
Julian, at your service.
So here's Julian. I like how his neutral art is not like the standard standing straight up and staring straight at the viewer art. It's more of a profile look. He has a little bit of dynamic art with the chest that's there that he's kind of stepping on. He's got his arms crossed. There's a little bit more character in his idle art, which I think is a good thing. Not a lot of frills to what he's wearing, but for somebody that works and operates in the shadows, you don't really have to dress for the occasion, I suppose. But all the same, I think you can glean a bit of his character just from his starting pose in general, which is always a good thing. Alright, so Caltrop Dagger Plus. It is an inheritable weapon, so that is worth noting. It's a 12 might weapon, effective against cavalry foes. Interesting. Makes sense with the whole Caltrop thing. Disables units and foes' skills that change attack priority. Huh. So it's a hardy bearing effect. Not only on him, but on his opponent. And there's no condition for it. It just exists. And then, of course, it has the Dagger 7 debuff. So it's a cavalry effective dagger that also just changes attack priority. That's fine. It's okay. It kind of niche uses, but it has some uses. Moonbow for the special. Close foil for the A slot. If sword, lance, axe, bow, dagger, or beast foe initiates combat, grants attack defense +5 to unit during combat, and unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. So of the conditional close/distant counter A slot skills, close foil is one of the better ones, of course, because it is more all-encompassing. It gives him a buff to his attack and defense, and not only does it do that, it gives him close counter against most of the foes that are in melee range, right? Basically other than dragons. So that's definitely a good thing. I'm wondering what his stat line is going to be since he has close foil. Lull attack speed 3. The lull skills are solid. Inflicts attack speed -3 on foe, and neutralizes foe's bonus to attack and speed from things like Fortify Rally. Any activated buffs, the cyan colors, those are all neutralized on attack and speed when he has lull attack speed 3. So with Julian, I think that his skill set is a little bit disjointed as well, but I also think he has a lot of skills that are pretty valuable. I think Close Foil has a lot of great uses out there. I think Lull Attack Speed 3 has a lot of great uses out there. I think Caltrop Dagger is a lot more situational, but I think people could build around that specific to counter specific enemies and specific threats that are in particular game modes. So because of that, I think he has a lot of desirable skills, but I also don't see anything really cohesive here. I am curious what his stat line is going to be. So, interesting to keep an eye on Julian to see, I guess, you know, what they intended with him. Let's take a look at his attacking art. Brandishing that weapon and leaping forward with those green wisps around him and his fabulous hair. He's ready to do some damage, so there he goes. That is a lot of damage. Alright. So here's the Tender Angel, so this is going to be the 4-star demote of the banner. So Lena here is going to be an infantry cleric. So I actually really like her art here, to be honest with you. So her outfit, obviously as a cleric, it's going to render this kind of saintly vibe, this white purity, this holiness, right? At the same time, it does fit pretty snugly around her. I mean, it is a pretty flattering outfit overall. She has the hood over her head, but then you have these crimson eyes and hair that peek out from the hood, and it just creates this really nice contrast, I think. And also, she has a really cute face. So, Lena looks great. Again, she didn't seem that impressive from a skill perspective when we took a glance at what she had, but let's take a closer look. So Gravity Plus, I mean, Gravity Plus is a solid staff weapon, but we have no shortage of access to Gravity Plus. Recover Plus, also solid. Heavenly Light is fine. Defense Res 2 and Attack Ploy 3. Yeah, unfortunately, Lena, pretty darn underwhelming overall as far as the kid is concerned. I think people are really, depending on what her stat line is, maybe she's a good merge project. That's very, very possible. The nice thing is that after the banner is over, she's going to be introduced into the regular summon pool as a 4-star hero. So people are going to be able to pull her from the colorless pool. So she could be a good merge project. As far as the skills themselves, again, there's nothing really remarkable here. She has nice art, though. Let's take a look at what her art is, as far as her actual casting or attacking art. There she goes. Just to echo my sentiments before, I think her dress is very flattering. I like how you see a lot of the wrinkles in the fabric in this particular angle. She has a very adorable face. She has a very cute smile there. I think they did a great job on the art. She's definitely, I think, worth collecting for the art. But again, since she's a 4-star demote, it is very likely that you'll be getting a copy of, or 2 of her, down the line anytime you pull on colorless. Let's keep going. Alright, so finally, at the end of things, Unsung Hero, and this is going to be Kris as well. So it looks like she is going to be an infantry lance user. She is rocking that lance behind her. Looks like she also has a sword at the ready in case she needs it. Based upon her attire, I kind of imagined her to be a Pegasus rider, just based upon the fact that she has a very, very, very short hemline. She's got the boots, and then just kind of the armor orientation kind of is reminiscent of a Pegasus rider. But no, it looks like she is going to be infantry. I think they did a good job of mirroring the other Kris on the banner. I like the color palette they used for her. Just softer colors in general, nothing too radical, nothing too vibrant. But also not washed out, like somewhere in between. She has these ribbons that kind of flow off of her weapons, and she's kind of holding one wistfully in her right hand. And I like the art because it also happens to be very, very leggy. But all kidding aside, I think they really did do a great job in capturing her here. Let's keep going.
Well met.
So she seemed to have a pretty decked out kit. Let's take a look. Spear of Shadow is going to be a 16 might spear. Accelerate special trigger cooldown -1. Okay, so I think it's going to mirror the weapon that we saw earlier. So it's going to have a killing/slaying effect. Foe initiates combat, so enemy phase. Foe equals 100% HP at start of combat. Yeah, okay, so everything that I said about the earlier weapon with Kris applies here as well. It's just in spear form. That's the only difference. And just like I said with that one, this will get the job done. It doesn't blow me away, but I think it's a solid weapon. I think one advantage that this Kris has is that she's a lance infantry unit, of which there aren't that many in the game. In fact, there are precious few of them, to be honest with you. Whereas infantry sword units are a dime a dozen. So this Kris definitely has that going for her. Moonbow for the special, Fury 4 for the A slot, grants attack speed defense res +4 after combat deals 8 damage to unit. Definitely a solid skill. Spurn 3, we talked about Spurn 3, I think it has great application potentially. Looks like this Kris does not have a healing special, instead she has Moonbow, so it's just a quick cooldown special, which again synergizes and makes sense if she wants to continuously deal raw true damage of +5 every time, which is certainly one application of Spurn 3. Rouse speed res 3 for the C slot. At start of turn, if unit is not adjacent to an ally, grant speed res +6 to unit for 1 turn. Rouse skills definitely have their place. I have never been the biggest fan about them, but I know some people mentioned in prior videos that the Rouse skills are one of the few C slot skills that have like a self-procking or self-initiating, consistent self-procking and self-initiating stat buff to the unit. So that alone has some value because you can very easily meet the condition to have that effect. So that definitely has its place. All in all, I think that this Kris, compared to the first Kris, is a lot better, even just from a kit composition perspective. Everything is a lot more cohesive as far as what the kit does, what it delivers. As far as the skills themselves as fodder is concerned and being desirable, I think there's just a lot more here to want. And again, the fact that she is that particular movement weapon combination is a great advantage to her as far as usability, utility, and uniqueness. So let's keep going. We'll go ahead and take a look at her attacking art here.
Dare not.
Yeah, she's got some beautiful art here. I love the swirling effect around her. It really creates a dynamic sense of movement from the weapon itself, and it leaves this beautiful pink trail in its wake with these flower petals ingrained in it. You can see as she's spinning around. Again, it just has this sense of movement that's really pretty. And then, of course, the flaps of her outfit as well as her ponytail are all swinging in tandem. I think it looks really great, especially for, well, for special art. Let's keep going.
Estimate me.
Okay. So again, new story chapter, Violent Fantasies. Curious to see what things are in store for our heroes in Fire Emblem Heroes in the next story-based chapter. So again, starting on the 20th, which is a Monday, we're going to be able to summon 4 of these units. Colorless, of course, gives you the best chance of getting a focus hero, best chance of getting a 5-star hero. Of course, one of those is the D mode, and honestly, I would argue those are the 2 worst units on the banner. Kris is okay. He's got some good stuff, but like I mentioned as we were going over his skills, I think that his kit itself leaves a little to be desired. His weapon movement combination is just oversaturated. So I don't see a ton of people pulling for him unless they're big fans of him. Female Kris, on the other hand, I think has a lot more going for her. More unique weapon movement type. Obviously, she has a similar archetype to male Kris, but I think her skills are much more fleshed out in general, and much more desirable in general as well. So, prize of the banner is going to be female Kris as far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, we are going to get a Forging Bonds event with this banner, I think. So, with the Forging Bond event, you'll get some summon tickets, you'll get a free summon, and those will, of course, add into your summons up to the 40 limit if you decide to pull 40 times for one of these units. They are new heroes, which means they are not limited in any capacity. After the banner is over, all of these heroes will be introduced into the regular summon pool, so bear that in mind as well. And also bear in mind, we're going to be getting a mythic hero in the coming weeks, very, very soon. We're also going to be getting more news about Choose Your Legends pretty soon. We're getting a new seasonal next month, which traditionally I don't think we've gotten a seasonal in August, so that'll be curious to see what that means. So there's a lot of stuff that's on the horizon. I'll just put it that way. For me personally, I can't imagine summoning for anybody other than female Kris on this banner. The other unit that I would be interested in, just for the art, is Lena, but she's going to be a D mode, so that doesn't really even factor in. I mean, I can just get her later, at a later date, whenever she decides to show up as a 4-star for me as I'm pulling on colorless. So I think I'll probably just do the tickets, do the free summon, and leave it at that, unless, I think of a more compelling reason to go in. But let me know in the comments below if you're excited for this banner, and if you are excited, who you're going to be summoning for. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really do appreciate it. Certainly hoping you're all staying safe, healthy, secure, and united out there, and wishing the very best for you, your friends, and your family. And until next time, let's protect those skies.